Hi everybody, hi! How are you today? Today, I'm going to talk to you about this professor who was fired from his job for referring to the trans student by their last name only. And I get it, right? I don't get it at all. It doesn't make any sense. Alright, so what we want to talk about right now is this guy, Nicholas K. Meriwether, a philosophy professor. All he did was refer to a trans student by their last name, but referred to other students by Mr. and Miss. And I feel like, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly fine.
And something really wrong is going on.
Mr. Kirkland, you are out of order!
You're out of order! You're out of order! The whole trial is out of order!
You know, it's so nice. It's very nice to refer to someone as by their last name. But they wanted to compel him to say the Mr. Miss to this one student. And this is not a matter of him saying inappropriate things at all. He never said anything inappropriate. I think referring to a trans student by their last name only is perfectly fine. You know, no one should be insulted by that. They refer to me by my last name all the way through my life. You know, hey Lanham, hi. I mean, that's just fine. Who cares? Other people will call me Charles or Mr. Charles or Mr. Who or Mrs. Charles. I don't know. You know, some teachers might refer to their students as, hey, stupid, come on over here, you know. Some teachers are really egregious with the way they disrespect their students. And those teachers will keep their jobs because, you know, they're not touching on a political controversy at all. And this guy is tiptoeing around the political controversy beautifully. Now, Garcetti was a Supreme Court decision. The teacher talks about something that is not related to the class that he's teaching. Okay, it's not relevant, they can fire him for it. And it's a little bit overbroad, right? Because this is a speech they're allowed to fire you for any reason. Anything you say that's not relevant to the class.
White supremacist and a vice president that is one of the most anti-gay human.
So if you said, you know what, I really like monkeys. Those animals are so interesting. But you are a professor of math. They can fire you for that, right? And you know how this stinks, right? This smells to high heavens. It's like, there's no First Amendment rights. Like, you don't have First Amendment rights. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. And we all know it. I don't have to explain to you why that's ridiculous. And that's exactly what's happening here. But you know what is unconstitutional? You know what is unconstitutional? Compelled speech. And right here is a case where a guy is being punished for not saying, not because of what he did say, because what he did say was perfectly appropriate. He's being punished for not saying Mr. or Miss. He's being fired from his job for not saying Mr. or Miss. This is a case of compelled speech. The university can't force you to say the Pledge of Allegiance. You know, you can't force people to pray in school. You can't force people to say I pledge allegiance. You can't force people to speak. You can't force them to say the Pledge of Allegiance. You can't force them to say Mr. or Miss, especially when they're very appropriate in the way they're behaving, right? This is a very appropriately behaved professor, okay? He's using the last name, doesn't need to use Mr. or Miss to be appropriate, okay? There's more than one way to skin a cat, okay? And you can live your life making everybody happy. And there's more than one means to resolve a problem of religious issues. This person apparently had a religious problem with saying the words Mr. and Miss to the wrong gender. And handled it quite appropriately. And these people that are just super angry about it at the university, they're killing the Democrat Party. All right, that's the bottom line. They're killing the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party cannot exist if they're going to go around cracking down through court systems on every single person they disagree with. You know, it's like the religion in the 1700s or 1600s, they wanted to crack down on atheists, so they made blasphemy laws. So they would make it illegal to disagree with the church. You were a heretic, you would be put to death. Over here, we're kind of like living in the same time. The only time, frankly, in history that speech regulation was ever implemented was to crack down on dissidents. And here you have an elitist group of people cracking down on dissidents. And frankly, the people of the United States, if they were to vote on this particular issue, I don't believe the majority of people would favor this. I think only the elitist people in power are doing this because they're stupid. They're just so damn stupid. The people are going to hate them, and history is not going to like them. History's going to look badly on them. They're not going to have hate speech in the future, okay? They're going to have bad taste in people's mouths over people being fired over nothing. You know, this guy was behaving perfectly appropriately. And he was referring to her very kindly by the last name, not stepping on anyone's toes. That's great. Good for him. You know, like, good for the tranny, good for the professor. They found a way to compromise, to make sure they were nice to each other, even when there was conflict of religious beliefs. And the university, you know, this is unconstitutional over there, and professors over there. It's kind of like a Jonestown. And I hate to say it, but they're gonna have a tremendous amount of blue-collar workers leave the Democrat Party because of this stuff right here, because people hate it. People are just absolutely sick and tired of these hate speech rules. They're sick and tired of the anti-due process, the anti-substantive due process. Now, substantive due process is using a rule that's not vague, that's not ambiguous, that's clearly puts you on notice of what is against the law before they punish you for violating it, right? Or it's not overbroad that, you know, you really couldn't reasonably predict whether you broke the rules or not because it's just so darn overbroad. This guy really could not know that using the last name of the student was a violation of the rules because, frankly, he seems to be following the rules. If there was a rule against using a student's last name only, and he used their last name only, how would he know? You know, like, the only rule they have are these extremely broad, impractical, untenable rules. So, another problem with the substantive due process is a violation of due process in themselves. Like I said, they're too vague. They're overbroad. They don't say anything against this thing. There's no rule against that. Therefore, you can't punish that, you know? This is unconstitutional. And they hold this arbitrary and capricious rules. If a rule is so arbitrary and capricious that it doesn't even make sense, it wouldn't even meet a rational basis, it's arbitrary and capricious, it's dead. You know, like, they had rules where they said that university wanted to make it illegal for students to have long hair. And then they said that's a violation of, that's an arbitrary capricious rule, right? Because why do we care if students have long hair? You know, you're not unless there was like a reason for it, like, you know, there has to be a reason for everything whenever rules are made under substantive due process. So then there's procedural due process, which, I mean, I don't know if they violate any of his procedural due process things. And I'm going to get into this here right now, though. First of all, I'm going to ask is, why are they not going after compelled speech like the Pledge of Allegiance? And why are this case so very short because this seems like a very tight issue. This was dismissed, and it was the opinion for the dismissal from a federal court was 1 page. Or half a page, even. That's really short. And there's no reasoning. There was no application. There was nothing in this opinion that really put much thought behind it. They didn't even cite to Garcetti. They just said, you know what, we give it to the other side. End of story, sign. That sounds really bad. That sounds really bad. This is not an open-shut case. Okay? This is not an open-shut opinion right here. This is not, you don't just simply say, you were compelled to speak, but it was okay because it wasn't relevant to your work. Goodbye. Like, they didn't have any reasoning. I mean, just like, it smells to high heaven. And so why were the lawyers so bad at their job, though? And I hope they appeal this. Why were the lawyers not able to tackle substantive due process in this case? Why didn't they? This is a public university. And it's a problem. One of the big problems is all the lawyers are left-wingers who have this sort of allegiance to the left. And a lot of them are just, a lot of them don't realize how much witch trials hurt the Democrat Party and how many blue-collar workers are sick of the family courts, are sick of the criminal courts, are sick of the restraining orders, are sick of this unfair rulings in the workplace and how it's unfair. A lot of false allegations going on and how sick blue-collar workers are sick of being mistreated by the courts and these unconstitutional things they're being put through. And they're just leaving the Democrat Party in droves. And it's almost like the courts are killing the Democrat Party. And this is one position right here where the courts are killing the Democrat Party. The same thing happened when the church ruled the world, basically. I don't know, there was blasphemy laws, and the church would kill atheists for blasphemy or heretics for blasphemy. And, that just killed the popularity of the church a lot. And then next thing you know, you have the French Revolution. So anyhow, I hope this thing might lead to another French Revolution if they piss off enough blue-collar workers, enough young men like myself, and all of these people who are flooding over to Trump's side to put the big F you to the Democrats and these courts that are killing the Democrat Party. And if they congregate with Trump's side, that'll be at the end of the Democrats for generations. So thank you for watching, and I love the fact that you support my channel, and have a wonderful day, and God bless. And you know what? Have a great day, no matter what your last name may be. You have a beautiful last name, and I respect you. And even if I don't call you Mr. or Miss, it's nothing personal against you. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.